press the bell icon on YouTube and don't miss another update.
Namaste. Welcome all of you in this Wednesday 10 p.m. show. And who do we have on Wednesday? This is Vibhuti Jha for you.
Namaste to all the viewers and Sanjay ji to you as well. Right.
So, Vibhuti ji, this is the, I should say, $1 million or $1 billion or $1 trillion question that is being asked. It's not so much in India, but I think it is being asked more abroad. Whether the same kind of assault that was launched on Trump by the big media and the big tech will be launched on Modi, I think that appears almost certain. They did that even in 2019 elections, that was done.
Right.
So that we know. I think that's something that very easily anticipated that will be done. The point is whether Trump dealt with it incompetently or he had too much stacked against him that he could not deal with it, or the opposition in India is incompetent. And even if the big media and big tech of the United States and the rest of the world, including China and everyone else, would be only too willing to pull the rug from under Modi's feet, but whether they will be able to pull it off. So let's hear you the major factors that kind of did Trump in, both from the point of view of the merits of the assault and probably deficiency in the Trump campaign. And then we juxtapose it against Modi's probable 2024 scenario, and then come to a conclusion.
Excellent. Excellent. I'm going to start by saying very simply that, things don't happen in isolation. And what happened to Trump is what will be attempted on India, Modi, BJP, and Hindus in 2024. Don't forget that when Trump took power in 2016, already the campaign had begun to unseat him. Think about it like this. His opponents launched every single drive that was possible. I was watching the inaugural address. Within matter of moments, one of the TV channels reported that Martin Luther King's bust has been removed from the White House. Totally fake, totally false. But the campaign to attack him started from that time onwards. And as a result of which, Mr. Trump had to continuously battle. Can you see me?
Yes, I can. Absolutely.
No, because I just had Adobe interfere in my screen. It just showed up. So I'm just kind of removing that from my page. Now it's gone. Thank you. Yeah. Sorry. So the attack on Trump started from that time onwards. If I were advising Trump at that time, I would have said, do not do the mistakes or don't fall into the trap. And you talked about in your introduction about, mentioned on the Twitter that Tughlaqi attitude. I do not know whether he was Tughlaq. But a few things that he forgot in the 4 years of time was that he went head on in bringing about reform and changes that he thought was relevant for the American context, right? What he did not realize that he had to play the numbers. And the same logic will run true for Mr. Modi as well. Trump did not play the numbers. He only campaigned and made sure that his base remained loyal to him. Made sure that his base does not go over to Democratic side. In the process, he did not enroll new people to his side. So the vote counts of 2020 aside, that both Biden got, he won 277 counties and got 10 million more votes than Obama, who had won 400 plus counties. So these numbers are totally improbable in their own way. But as his numbers don't lie, Trump did not collectively, wisely cultivate other groups of people. He went on a constant attack. Contrary to him, I have mentioned in this program and in my TV programs that Trump ought to have spent a few days in Modi's School of Political Economy. Had he stayed there, he would have known that instead of belittling Rahul Gandhi, what did Modi say? His classic word, 2 words, milte rahiye. It completely demolished Rahul Gandhi's confidence, because he knew that each time he meets me, he is going to look an idiot and I'm going to look even more comparatively superior. That's what Trump didn't do. This is what Clinton did very smartly. Obama didn't. Obama was confrontationist. Clinton did very smartly. He would always engage with Republican people, which made him look good, reasonable, and statesmanlike. And Republicans looked bitter and everything else. So Trump didn't play the numbers game well. He ought to have made sure that there were people who would not vote for you just because you are doing good things. In the end, what happened in this particular election, those people who did not vote for him were driven by one simple fact. Oh my God, Trump is responsible for all the chaos that is going on. The whole narrative that was built by the mainstream media, that he is the ultimate, he wants Muslim ban, he wants this ban, he wants to take out everything else, so he's creating problem. Who wants problem? Even though Trump was actually solving the problems of making America great again. Now, he also tried to impress others. He did not realize that he was already elected. He didn't have to impress anyone. अब आपकी शादी हो चुकी है, बीवी को impress करने की जरूरत नहीं है, आपको relationship बना के रखना है. वो impress हो गई तभी तो उसने शादी किया आपसे. तो it is a very simple example है कि मोदी जी को भी अब ये ख्याल रखना है कि उनकी जो साख बनी हुई है इंडिया में, the honor, the prestige, the dignity that he has maintained his own as a leader, he doesn't have to worry about impressing anyone anymore. But he has to go on. Bhagavad Gita का lesson जो है, कर्म किए जाइए आप. And he is doing it. And there are a couple of examples of that, like for Aligarh Muslim University, which happened a few days ago. His visit to that place, he said that it is a reflection of India. Now, look at it from Modi's point of view and the way he presented the whole thing. He is not looking bad. He is making them look bad that they are not part of India. Makes them think. Like President Xi Jinping. President Xi was given as many opportunities to befriend India by Mr. Modi. Now he has lost his complete trust. If I were Prime Minister Modi, I would sometime in an appropriate forum will say that I gave the man all my trust and he betrayed me. Put the pressure on Xi Jinping now. The result is people are wanting to come to India. People may have problem with India as an economic entity, but nobody has problem with Mr. Modi as Prime Minister. World leaders want to be like him. And the third part is very important, is that while Trump did not, I use the phrase, you must read the room like the audience. You must understand your audience and you must read the room. The world is not the same that was 2 years ago, pre-corona and post-corona. It's a totally different world. People are looking for help. It's not that I can go on and do whatever I wanted. There is a lockdowns, economic activities still. Trump at that point did not inspire as a leader. Modi is inspiring as a leader. He's providing solutions. So the politics is an art of creating a perception and converting that perception into a reality. Trump failed in that as well. So he did not create the leadership role. He was trying to do the right things. I mean, it's incredible that the vaccine is here in the market so much in time. As a matter of fact, some people talked about it should be called Trump vaccine contesting Wuhan virus, eliminating Wuhan virus. So, he has done incredible job, no doubt about that. But he could not manage the narrative. Mr. Modi is managing the narrative remarkably well. And the recent recognition of Mr. Modi, Mr. Abe, and Mr. Morrison as the Legion of Merit, Mr. Modi again came back with glowing response to that the Indo-US relations will remain what it deserves to be. And the budgetary allocation of $1.4 billion to Indo-Pacific region agreements and treaties has reestablished the fact that Biden can't do anything with it anymore. If he does it, his entry into Paris Accord will look really bad. So I would put it this way: the three things that I mentioned about playing the numbers, don't try to impress, and read the room, Mr. Modi is doing it pretty well.
Okay, so you put it down quite succinctly. From my side, I'll just try and add something. I think the remarkable thing about Mr. Modi is that he never responds in a hurry.
Right.
Unlike Trump, who was always on Twitter, and he was in fact trying to second guess the other party and treating even before the things happen.
Right.
Mr. Modi does no such thing. In fact, very often he's accused of being aloof. He's accused of not meeting the press. Of course, he knows that meeting the press is only going to be counterproductive, so he avoids that completely.
Correct.
I think that's something remarkable, and nothing impresses him whatsoever you may throw at him. It's like water off the duck's back. He plays the game by his own rules, whereas Trump could not set the rules. I think that's the major difference. Now, let's look at the things that this big media and big tech, so all the heavy stuff that they are going to throw at him.
Correct.
And of course, their biggest handicap, I think, is that they don't have a credible face to support. Will they support Rahul Gandhi? What do you say?
That's not even a question deserving an answer at this point in time. I would put it that way. I'm sometimes I go on the Indian Express and online of Times of India. I still see the picture of Rahul Gandhi and Narendra Modi ji together, and as if Times of India is still hoping that Rahul Gandhi will rise. Now, it's not happening. Other than the family limited partnership, I don't think anybody cares for that. And, my brother has launched his own book in which he makes a scathing.
Oh, yes. Good that you mentioned the book. He has been trashed by the Congress party once again.
Yes, sir. Yes.
You remember, in fact, somebody commented on Twitter that, well, if that is the fate that he was going to meet anyway, why was he trying to defend the Congress on your show?
Yeah, that was a mistake he made again, as I said, that he made a mistake again. But I was very happy to know that Ramchandra Guha, in his tweet, talked about Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi going away, leaving. And I said, oh my God, he read my article. Because I have written in my article that they should voluntarily retire and go to Paris or wherever and live happily ever after.
No. Just drop the thought. We want them here. At least I want them here. They are the greatest asset that the BJP has. I think we should never encourage this great asset to move away. We should always give them the hope that they can come back and rule India again, just as I take that analogy that the Muslim clergy, their entire worldview is focused on ruling the Indian subcontinent all over again, like the Mughal emperor Aurangzeb. They want to bring their Aurangzeb Raj back. So similarly, they want to bring that Italian Raj back. So let that hope be there.
Okay, let's talk about the Trump one. The item that you mentioned was very correct, that Trump was always shooting from his hip like a Western showdown all the time, and Mr. Modi takes his time to respond. But the one thing which is very, very good about Mr. Modi is that he takes his time, responds. There is one thing very important in Chanakya Niti: don't let your secrets be out. If your secrets are known by your enemy, then it's no longer a secret. And then you lose the battle. And that's what Mr. Trump did very, very unjudiciously. Because whatever he would want to do, he would openly talk about it. And that allowed people to coalesce against him. Look at Mr. Modi from the other point of view. Today, the Abdullahs and the Muftis actually look like traitors. Their fangs are out in the open. And the BJP's stride in Jammu and Kashmir Municipal Council, district council elections is remarkable. It may not have been the exact number, but the plethora of parties reduces the larger number in the sense. But when Abdullah and Owaisi threatened Mr. Modi that आप 100 साल तक 370 नहीं हटा सकते हैं, तो मोदी जी ने चुपचाप शांति से प्लान बना करके लीगल करके सारा कुछ कर दिया. न उसके पहले कुछ बोला, न उसके बाद कुछ बोला. Now it is irreversible. So they may shout from the rooftop that we want to establish the exceptional status of Kashmir, but who wants it now? Who wants it now? Now, country is also aware of that was a bogus special status given under duress or manipulation, whatever it was. So the question now is that is how the true leader acts. And I will give Modi ji credit, because somebody told me, you are a Modi Bhakt. I said, I'm proud that I'm a Bhakt. My bhakti is related to him. And I also can criticize him. There's no problem. But I'm happier as a Bhakt than a slave of a book or a slave of an ideology. Then I have no mind of my own. So it is better to be a Bhakt than a slave of any document that exists on the planet Earth. And that's what is important in terms of analyzing the two party. But the important part here is, we have talked about many times, that with Trump's victory in 2016, it put a major dent in the left, liberal, Marxist, Islamist, and all those kind of people who were opposed for their ideology. They all combined for only one thing: remove Trump. When Modi won in 2014, the left liberals went berserk, Awad Wapsi gangsters and all those people that I call them. So the three prominent democracies of the world became right of center. So if Trump winning this election would have been almost a death knell of the left liberal Marxist Islamist ideology for a while. And that's how they combined. And I say to Modi ji only one thing, drawing analogy from sports, as I always tell here: never take your opposition for granted. Because just as they attacked Trump here under varieties of names, they will come to Modi also in the same way. One of them has already been established, that any change that he will bring about will leave some people unhappy, and that group will be talking about human rights violation. In my opinion, weak and the thugs use human rights as their weapon to attack the other side. So, that's one has to be very careful about, because all said and done, let's put it this way: we are the only country in the world that is 80% Hindus. And the rest of the countries are divided between Christianity and Islam. So we are a hunting ground for all kinds of marauders. And Modi is the only one who's standing between them. So these people are going to get to him to demolish India. So whether the Ghazwa-e-Hind is, pie in the sky or reality, we do not know that as yet. But we can't take it lightly. We can't become refugees in our own state. And I will share that part with you, that when I shared with my American friends that despite 5 lakh people butchered, raped, murdered, and who left Kashmir in 1990s, not a single one became a jihadi. Nobody blew up, people. But their response was truly remarkable, and we need to spend time on that. Is that why did we not? Because this American friend of mine told me, that's gorgeous that you guys were so nonviolent. But you mean to say none of you fought back? None of the 500,000 fought back? None of the 80% of the Hindus did not fight back? What's wrong with you guys? That's what is American culture that we learn from here. This country is a country of fighters. So nobody has objection to Trump fighting for his right, what he believes, because all the ghapla that happened in the 5 states. Why not the 45, but only in those 5 states, all democratic run states. So there is an element of fight, and fortunately in their system, there is still time to prove or not to prove. So he's fighting, he's not giving up, he's not announcing his concession. And that's the way the system runs. And we need to learn, we Indians need to learn that whether we are vegan, vegetarian और अहिंसा के परम पुजारी, अगर हमारे परिवार पे जब प्रहार होगा तो हमें युद्ध करना पड़ेगा परिवार को बचाने के लिए. उस समय हमें तैयार भी रहना पड़ेगा. We have to be battle ready. अगर हमें गोली नहीं चलानी आती, तलवार नहीं चलाना आता, अगर कुंग-फू कराटे नहीं जानते हैं, तो हमें गांव छोड़ के भागना पड़ेगा. That's exactly what happens in most of the times. 10 गुंडे जाते हैं, गांव में हंगामा करते हैं, 1000 हिंदू वहां से निकल जाते हैं. That is the line that I always keep saying. My favorite thing is Lakshman Rekha हमें बनानी है. This far and no further. And that's the important part to bear in mind. And, I think Mr. Modi is doing a great thing. Following, you mentioned about Chanakya Niti and, Arthashastra and, Niti Shastra. वो follow कर रहे हैं इन चीजों को. Agricultural reform is part of Chanakya Niti. You have to bring about a reform in agriculture sector. You have to bring land reform. You have to inculcate moral values. You have to show respect to elders. So these are issues where he has shown exemplary conduct by his own behavior. It's not a show. That's the point which I'm trying to say. Yeah.
Oh, exactly. The way he has dealt with most of the strife that has been engineered, because hardly anything is spontaneous. Most of the strife is basically being engineered by the leftist Congress combination.
Correct.
And that I think he is dealing with it very well.
Yeah.
He is not impatient. He's got loads of patience, unlike Trump, because Trump always tended to act in haste.
Yes.
He always liked to look like a cowboy. Here you have exactly the opposite scenario,
Right.
where he is trying to look more and more like a detached saint. Yes, he has grown a big beard also.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So
जैसे आपने सॉल अलिंस्की की बात की थी, the Saul Alinsky method works only when, that's a very important part, only when there is frustration in people, when people are disunited and they are looking to be violent. There is an unhappiness around. Mr. Modi ji is addressing all of these issues by using words and showing it in action. Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas is not an empty slogan. It is a slogan actually to bring people together, establish equality in law. The disappearance of triple talaq is one such. When all the women are on the same page in the Islamic society, how much he gets the support is the responsibility of all the people who are watching this show today and carrying the message forward. From my point of view, Prime Minister Modi needs to focus relentlessly on. The country is behind him. Completely redesign the country in terms of the way you are designing smart cities. Now also put the design in such a way that the economic path looks rosy for the demographic dividend to reap its full potential. That's the most important part, because the youth of India is his biggest ally. He is the guiding post for all the youth. Maybe disagreements always happen, but if you look at leadership as an example, he has been that leader who has created, he's the architect of the future of India and of the environment, and he has created the mood of pride and Atmanirbharta, that we have to be self-sufficient. So I think he's talking the right language. 4 years is still a long time. I would hope that in 4 years' time, India will have its own YouTube, own Twitter, own Facebook, own Google, so that none of these people can stop his message from spreading even within the country. So I would urge.
Yes, that is something that they're not able to stop even today.
Right.
And look at I think one important difference, what I wanted to say was that one very, very important difference from the role of the big media in the US and the role of the big media in India would be that the big media influence is limited to some big houses and mostly to the English media. There are, of course, some die-hard leftists in the language media as well, notably in the places like Kerala and Tamil Nadu. But largely, the regional media, particularly the Hindi media, is neutral. It's largely neutral. You can't influence them because they are rooted in the ground situation and they know the public mood and they constitute 95% of the narrative. So the role of the big media and the big tech, as was evidenced in the United States, actually gets diffused in the labyrinths of the plurality that we have in India.
I think that's a very good point. I totally, I notice that and I see that because I notice that a lot of people demand that why doesn't Vibhuti Jha speak in Hindi only? But, we also catering to people who don't speak Hindi, maybe we could have all spoken in Sanskrit, the question wouldn't be arising. If Nehru had made Sanskrit the national language, we would be all speaking Sanskrit very fluently and the sense of pride of a national language. But that said, you are right. I think so. But there is always important. Global impressions matter. And that's one thing that we have to address. We have to contend with. Because, if your entire environment is put on fire against you, if United States, there are Democratic Party Indians who are passing resolutions one after another, whether it is a farmer agitation, whether this, even Costco, for example, can you imagine? It's a wholesaler. It put out a notice just yesterday I saw. Maybe I'll forward it to you to share with your audience. I'll put it there. They said that they are against India's farm bill because our farmers from there are not able to supply us goods. If you want to provide aid, donate to Khalsa Aid. You realize that? That's the kind of perception, that battle that we have to fight continuously. It's not about putting Indian gods and goddesses by Amazon in a bad light, but political and social elements like this also matter. I'm a Costco user, so I'm going to write to them today or tomorrow. That's a false propaganda. To donate to Khalistan Aid Khalsa Aid is a very strong way to influence millions of people who are not educated or literate aware, I will not say literates, aware in the same way, then it is a problem. And we have to manage that external media very well. And I am totally for that part of it. Let me tell you something. For many years, I came here in 1991. People used to think in America, people used to really believe, not think, that India has occupied Kashmir by fighting with Pakistan. That was the narrative. Whereas the reality was completely different, that we gave them that land to become a country of their own. Oh, we didn't know that. That's where the part of education becomes very important. Our embassies, our embassies were actually India Association of Long Island put out an India map without Kashmir. Where did they get the map from? From somebody else, from one of the American publishers. And I totally contested that. Went to the Consul General. I told them, give all Indian associations here, whether they're all varieties of associations, that they have to necessarily put India's undivided map as given by the Indian consulate. If you want to disagree, then don't come to us for any help. That is the kind of thing that we have to begin to narrate outside. So what I would say is that, yes, we have domestically, Prime Minister and India must make sure that no social media company is able to curtail our own freedom of expression of thought. And at the same time, we must not must attend to the vicious campaign that is launched against us. Otherwise, we are perpetually on the back front and always defending. Defending always is tougher, is very much more tiring. It's like I call it the football analogy. If the opposition is keeping the ball for 70%, you are basically chasing the ball all the time. Get the ball and know how to hold it. You drive the narrative. That narrative India needs to drive, and every single Indian needs to be engaged with that process. It's very important.
You're quite right. I mean, that's something that can never be underestimated, the importance of keeping the narrative. And in fact, all these talks that we do are basically a small contribution towards keeping that narrative with us.
Right.
So that's about keeping the narrative. But just a small question out of what you just stated.
Sure.
Have you noticed any difference after Mr. Jaishankar took over?
I have. I do notice that, and I think I compliment. I think I was one of the people who first time commented when there was a different consul general in New York, is that you will have to now learn the war room tactics. You were so far following the policy of non-aligned and peace movement, and which is nothing wrong in it. But Mr. Jaishankar's statement that world will see a different aggressive India has made a difference. We talked about it in our last program as to how strongly India defended the religious statement made not including the Hindus in the UN statement, how strongly it was addressed. So, we have to kind of become very aggressive. And I think we are seeing the difference. I mean, we saw the difference when Kamala Harris, at that time Senator Kamala Harris, had wanted to include Pramila Jayapal, who is totally virulently against India, and who had passed so many resolutions, and Kamala Harris wanted to bring her into the meeting with External Affairs Minister, and he said, sorry, no. Those things didn't happen earlier. So Mr. Jaishankar, India is fortunate that it has a career diplomat who knows the world around him, and he's not an ornamental foreign minister put there as a political coverage, but he is the actual man who knows exactly what is happening where and what words matter. And that's the important part. So I say India's external affairs is in safer hands. I also hope at the same time that, in my opinion, I think they must teach them the art of war. The diplomats are somewhere along the line, we have become so शिथिल, जो हिंदी का जो word है बड़ा अच्छा सा word है, हम बहुत शिथिल हो गए हैं. So we have no idea to wage a war or stay aggressive. And it's not one time, two times, but it has to be continuous. Learn from your enemies. Learn from China. Does China give two hoots for any human rights attack on them by anywhere in the world? Pakistan is still asking for 26 evidences against 2611. So the question is very simple. Anybody who talks to me here about human rights violation in India, and at least Pramila Jayapal and others who ask, I said, what was the last word you mentioned about human rights about China? I don't have to mention Uyghur. I have to only ask. So let's begin to ask a question. Let's engage them. You attack me? Go ahead. Make your day. But what about you also calling out others who are being so deliberately maleficent in their action? What are you doing about that?
Quite right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, before we go into the question answer round, be about 5 minutes from now. We request all my viewers to please fire your questions. Because now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to get into the interesting part, the nitty gritty, the numbers, and I'm going to talk a little about the electoral map as I think is going to shape up in 2024. And once again, I request my viewers to please like, subscribe, and share the video. Press the bell icon. And of course, your support has been wonderful all through. We only expect this to continue, maybe a little more. Uh, so, that being the case, let me lay out the scenario in numbers as I think it is going to unfold. I'm also a bit of an election analyst, as you know.
Yes.
I wear that hat sometimes. So let me ask you one thing before I go into the big numbers. Uh, this NRI voting that is going to be facilitated, how is that going to pan out? Is it going to be pro BJP or anti BJP?
That's a very good question. One thing which I do know is that there is an overseas Friends of BJP here. There is also the Indian National Congress of America. These are also bodies that exist. There was, for a very long number of years, the Congress people are made up essentially who are pro Sonia Gandhi, and they were reaping rewards. These were the people, unfortunately, I must say this for people to know, whose basic thing was, agar tumhara file atka hai India mein to batana, we will have it cleared. So I also know, yes, I also know, I have been told about that. Vibhuti, you do a lot of business. If you have any file, we can both make money. So I said, I have done a lot of business in India, and I always thank God that till now, till this day today, I have not had to pay a single penny bribe to do my business. Actually, I have walked away when people have asked me for money. So the point which I am trying to say is that it will pan out better for Modi, because one thing which did happen ever since Mr. Modi came to power, that he was really, he invigorated the Indian community. And I'll give you my own personal example. Until Mr. Modi came to power, we Indians were known as the corrupt Indians. Right? We bore the same badge as entire India was stamped. Indians are corrupt. You can't do any business until you pay money. And I've seen this happen, so I can't say no to that. There was a power project ki baat hui thi ek samay mein, there was one particular officer in the government who asked me, commit me 3% upfront payment for $100 million project, I'll approve it. I had to ask him, do you even understand the meaning of upfront payment? How does it affect the cost? And of course, I'm not going to pay you anything, because tomorrow you will not be here, somebody else will ask me 3%. How many people am I going to chase? But we were having the stigma of the corrupt Indian. Today, thanks to Mr. Modi, that stigma, that badge of dishonor is no longer on our chest. I tell you, every single Indian is so proud that in fund meetings and investor meetings, people are saying that, thank God we don't have to pay any bribe in India to anybody. What is happening at the ground level, I'm not saying it's 100% over, but there is a clear, strong perception. So Indians, by and large, are definitely pro-Modi. As a matter of fact, somebody and I know had made a statement that these stupid NRIs are boosting Modi's ego without realizing what Modi was doing to us, providing the support. So there is a tremendous amount of sense of pride. And I think Mr. Modi will reap the advantage of that. A couple of Congress people who are diehard, they will die as Congress even, without any benefit to them.
Okay, so that's one little imponderable that I hadn't quite checked in my check boxes. So thanks to you, that also stands sorted out. So the way I look at it is that when I was calculating 2019, Then I looked at the situation and I said, my God, the BJP has already maximized its potential in so many states. So it can't possibly gain anything more out there. In fact, it's likely to lose because places like Rajasthan and Gujarat, it already has 100%.
Right.
So what more can it get? It can't get anything more there. In fact, it can only go down.
Hmm.
And in UP also, a complicated state like UP with 80 seats, uh, almost you can say 10% of not 10%, but about
Right.
7% of the entire cake. Uh, so 80 seats, and they had 74. So what more can they possibly get? So according to me, that they were going to lose out at least 30, 40 seats in the north of India. And the only likely gains that one could look at was probably in West Bengal and Orissa, that were not so many. And maybe, well, I couldn't see anything else. So my calculations inevitably stopped a bit short of the majority because of this common sense calculation.
Hmm.
But come the elections, and because you have what is called a pre-election scenario, and then you have a election scenario and a post-election scenario. So as the election started warming up, and I realized, hell, this looks like a repeat in Rajasthan. And I said, okay, is it going to repeat? That possibility started reappearing. Though till the elections had taken place, I was still giving about 4 seats to Congress. But after the elections had taken place, it was clear that Rajasthan was once again a clear sweep, that Gujarat was once again a clear sweep. And in fact, if they had not taken Shiv Sena on board, they would have got 35, 40 seats on their own in Maharashtra as well. But because they shared it with Shiv Sena, so they got only 24 out of the 25 they contested. So that's only 24 out of the 25. Okay.
That's right.
And well, they maxed it out in Bihar, 39 out of 40, even though they themselves contested only 17, but they got 17 out of 17. The big surprise was, of course, West Bengal. They got all 18. Then they got about, I think, 7 or 8 in Orissa. Surprise of surprises, they even got 4 seats even in Telangana. So 26 out of 28 in Karnataka. And that's how they went to 303. Now, when we start looking at 2019 to 2023, the same question comes up again. Where is we going to add seats from? Because everything is maxed out again. So in MP, you got 27 out of 29, and then Rajasthan a clean sweep, and Gujarat a clean sweep, and but when I look at this, I think in Maharashtra, definitely they are going to fight alone, and that is going to be a big advantage. I think they're going to add 10 seats there, and Bengal, the way it looks like, I think they're going to add 10 seats there as well. In Orissa, they might add 2 or 3. In Telangana, they're going to add another 4 or 5 seats. So I can see overall, in the untenanted area or uncharted area, they will add about 25 seats, which should take care of a normal loss of 30 to 40 seats elsewhere. So I think he's again comfortably sitting for a majority of about two between 280 to 290, according to what I think at this point. If you can add seats also in other places like Andhra and all, to the good, doesn't look likely at the moment. But that's what the scenario looks to me at this point.
4 years is a long time in politics, as the saying goes. And my thought process is the way Mr. Modi is operating, he is definitely very aware of how to play the numbers. And, I'm very happy with the likely change coming in West Bengal. I am also hopeful that, hope against hope, even in a state like Kerala, you will see a couple of seats coming in. So I think he is going to win. His party is going to win, and his alliance, NDA, is going to grow. Important part here is also to how do we control the regional growth of parties and ambitions of individual people. Now, for Abdullah, it is easy to say in Kashmir that they have rejected 370 abrogation. It doesn't realize the BJP is the largest city winner in the municipal district councils. So the question is, how do you build that narrative? That's very important, Sanjay ji. And that campaign, the effort on that has to begin today onwards. Because opposition is looking at Dubte ko tinke ka sahara. Opposition is looking at every single issue if they can convert it to their advantage. Look at Arvind Kejriwal on Krishi Bill. I mean, he's not even afraid or ashamed to make himself a buffoon, unfortunately. Respectable Mr. Chief Minister. So the question here is that now people are becoming aware, thanks to social media, where people are now able to see things which they did not know before. And there's a very simple example of the bill passed in the US yesterday for $900 billion. Can you imagine the amount of money that they are giving to foreign countries for ridiculous things? I mean, in an overall scheme of things, $25 million is being given to Pakistan for understanding gender studies and promoting democracy. Now, can there be a bigger farce than this? I tweeted today to both Nancy Pelosi and Donald Trump and others, you could have easily, that's a cruel joke on American people, that we are paying money to others for violating what we expect them to keep as a normal course of things. So that's hundreds of millions of dollars given to certain South American countries and to ensure that minor migration is prevented. Now, do you need to do a study on that? Question is that when people get to know, now there is already an uproar. Trump has said that I will veto the bill until the bill is made 2,000 for Americans to get the relief check. These people have made it $600, and Nancy Pelosi says, oh, that's a very decent sum of money. That's the extent to which people are getting exposed. So Mr. Modi is a truthful man. He's a man of integrity, man of karma. He's a karma yogi. And I think he will not do blunders that the American government is committing, making its own people look foolish. And I tell you, Sanjay ji, Modi ji will rule the country, or the BJP will rule the country for another 20 years easily. If this election, in the next 4 years, the focus is only on developing the demographic dividend of the youth, economic activity. India is now, nobody wants to go to China to invest anymore. China may throw the red carpet. Maybe an Apple will continue to manufacture its tools there. But everybody in America now knows, all the small and medium enterprises that used to operate in China, they know that they don't want to be there anymore. So Biden can sing the tune, pipe, the flute all day long, but people are no longer interested in going to China. They say, good, bad, or ugly, India is a democracy where the rule of law works. Companies have been sued, but they have got the redressal. There is a process that works. It is for us Indians now to grab that with both hands, seize the initiative, seize the opportunity. And I'm telling you, the youth, the IT sector, the manufacturing sector, the big business, formed a Bombay Club in 1991 so that liberalization doesn't affect them. On the contrary, the Indian big business is the biggest gainer of liberalization efforts. So we have to eliminate the fear fear thing from our minds. And I think Modi is attending to those things very well. So, in my feeling, is very clear that India is on a good path, and India has a good leader. Whether people call him by any name, you can't deny the truth that he may stumble, as he's a part of Chanakya Niti Shastra. You may fail, but doesn't mean that you are not right about your objective. So if your objective is good and you pursue the path, you will win. Eventually, people will come to know of it. This is a lesson which I learned in my private world of private banking. And this is a very important lesson for all the viewers to know this. When we were training under that part of it, I was told by my senior vice president, you're a banker. You have to be honest. Honesty is not the best policy. Honesty is the only policy. Because in an otherwise dishonest world, if you establish your credibility as honest, remember, you will be selling at a premium. Even mafia boss wants his right and left hand people as the most trusted people and honest to him. So honesty is not a bad word. The question is that in an otherwise imperfect world, we begin to make compromises. And that compromise is the ultimate evil. The role of bureaucracy will be key. You are part of that process. And I would hope the bureaucracy this time realizes that their welfare also lies in India's prosperity. You can't sell out India to make your motley gain.
Okay, the bureaucracy, actually, it's more about sloth than anything else. And that's not going away. I can promise you that. Yeah. Let's move to the question and answers now.
Sure.
Press the bell icon on YouTube and don't miss another update.
Okay, so we have that same process of identifying the shortlisted questions and then putting it before your good self to select the best question. And we will try and go over it a little quickly because there are too many questions again. Prathamesh Pitre, will Modi end India's Commonwealth membership? What are the benefits of Commonwealth? None. Why are Commissioner Commonwealth embassies? That's because of the Commonwealth Agreement. Right. And I think that was a condition precedent before the British signed off on the Indian Independence Act. So that's only a legacy issue. It doesn't really mean anything much.
Right. It doesn't matter. Ramesh ji, it doesn't matter. It's a naam ke vaste membership. That's it.
Yeah. Sandeep Sharma, Modi, when asked in an interview in 2013 that media mein aap par attacks kab tak chalenge, Modi replied, jab tak Modi harta nahi tab tak.
Only Modi can say that.
Oh, no, he knows these Johnnies. He used that word that these are news traders. These are not.
They're not. What had happened was that some of the people, some of the media members, it was joke in India that ek daru ki bottle or de do sab, then you get everything done as you want to written there. So people had been pampered. That's
I have conducted hundreds of press conferences. I know what is de rigueur, without which nothing will move. Okay, you know how to get it. And it used to be so important to get a line out in print. Right. And now nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
I remember I was the president of the Rajasthan Cricket Association, and these media chaps were acting big. So I got the guy who was acting the biggest, and I told him, look, I am not going to meet a single one of your demand. Let that be clear. And I dare you, and I actually request you, do not print a line about cricket tomorrow. The guy was aghast. I didn't let him in. How can you ignore cricket in India? If you want to survive as a newspaper, you cannot ignore cricket. So I'll play If I am in a position of strength, then I'll play it by my rules. I'm not going to get blackmailed by you. Next one. Rashtra Niti. So read your book, Unbreaking India. Thank you very much. Very factual and informative. Would use this as reference to teach Indian history to my son. Oh, I'm
Oh,
flattered.
that's nice.
Absolutely.
That's nice. That's nice. I'm waiting for my copy, and what I would do is that as I'm very happy to hear. I think who said that in your program that in 2 years' time we will have a new education policy, and that needs to address issues that are not taught at all. Thank you. Very happy.
And I'm very happy to inform everybody that the Kindle edition is out. So all my viewers who are there in UK, USA, and other places, you can log in, or if you don't have an Amazon.in account, make one, and you can buy that Kindle and download that Kindle edition directly. So that hassle is over in case you're not getting the paperback easily because of all the logistical issues these days. And also, I'm very happy to inform that the book is top of the charts,
That-
absolutely top of the charts.
Congratulations.
And
But I-
the best thing is that it has pushed the Obama book at number 2. So my book is at number 1 and Obama is number 2 in that segment. Anyway, so that's the good news, and you can start buying off Kindle straight away.
Got it.
पीयूष त्रिपाठी, विद्या भारती जैसे संस्थानों को बढ़ाने और मजबूत करने की आवश्यकता है, राष्ट्रवाद को परिवर्धित करने के लिए आपका विचार। मैं गौरव गाथा जैसी पुस्तकें पढ़कर बड़ा हुआ हूँ, मुझे गर्व है भारतवर्ष पर।
बहुत अच्छी बात है। आपके गर्व से मैं गर्वान्वित हुआ हूँ। मुझे गर्व है कि आपको गर्व है। ये गर्व जो है ना, वो बहुत बड़ी चीज है। आपने बहुत अच्छा शब्द यहाँ पे लिखा है, और मुझे बहुत प्रसन्नता है उस बात से कि हम जो है भारतीय जो हैं, हमारा गर्व ही खत्म हो गया था। हम इतने कुचलित हो गए थे पढ़ाई लिखाई सब करके कि इतिहास की पढ़ाई भी बिल्कुल गड़बड़ थी। हर चीज जो था उसको जैसे कि वो बेकार है। Now it's very important for everybody to know this also, that the British colluded with church to destroy our Sanatan practices and our culture, our tradition and everything else. Macaulay came later. Prior to that also, it was in the play. Actually, we should have been allies of the French and the Germans who knew our literature and who benefited from it. So there is a lot that goes into the history. I do not know why we are still close to England. I think when Boris Johnson comes for 26th January address, I hope he apologizes for all the ill that his country did to us. And that's why I'm very, very, very proud. And to establish the sense of nationalism and to be proud as an Indian, we have to become proud of our culture, traditions, which were decimated by the British. उसे हमें एक एक करके उठाना पड़ेगा। एंड ये जैसे आप कर रहे हैं वैसे हम भी करेंगे, वैसे कर रहे हैं एक्चुअली।
Yes, absolutely right. Okay, so let's move to the next question. I think I've lost my screen a little bit. Something's happened.
Thakur Rohit Jairaj Singh, Kashmiri Hindus wanted to fight back. They did not get any support. In fact, who should have supported them have supported their enemy. Yeah. Yes. I have had the great privilege of Thakur Rohitji. I have a great privilege of meeting lots of Kashmiri friends of mine. None of them have said that they wanted to fight back. But I'm definitely sure that the rage in them must have caused them anguish, and they must have wanted to fight back. But they were misled, maltreated, and duped by their own Kashmiri Nehru and own Kashmiri Indira Gandhi, who cheated them out of context. So, it is a sad thing, and Kashmir has to be re-won. We can't allow that history to repeat anywhere else. Satish Das. Modi is not Trump.
And we are not paid members.
Very glad to know that. Thank you.
That's a very, very good remark. And I think that deserves to be shortlisted.
Yes, it deserves to be shortlisted. Yes.
Ninad Sheet Sagar, sir, Modi needs to stop to take Hindus for granted. His AMU speech was nonsense, political or not. He needs to understand Muslims will never vote him.
This is a very.
Ninad,
This is
can I take this? This is purely political, my beat.
right.
I commented on this yesterday, and I think Ninad Sheet Sagar, if you think that he doesn't understand the Muslim mind, you're totally mistaken. And when people of our side, they actually appreciate the Muslims for playing the deceit game, I really feel sorry when people are not ready to credit one of their own for playing the same game.
Right. And, I totally agree with you, Sanjay ji, that Modi ji knows what he's doing. And in this, by his presence, his statement made there, I know I read a lot of tweet comments on that. People were saying that Muslims will never vote for you. Yeah, that's the truth. Doesn't mean that I don't nibble, I do not grab even 1, 2, or 3% of that. Let them feel bad. At least today you are angry about that, right? If you hadn't gone to AMU, your reaction would have been meant nothing. Today it means, because not you alone, but many more people are feeling like that those people are disloyal. उनकी लॉयल्टी को धक्का लगा है. कहीं ना कहीं तो कभी ना कभी तो शर्म आएगी भाई.
On the other hand, it put AMU in focus and gave me an opportunity to do an episode called AMU Ka Kala Itihas. So everybody was made aware. And if he hadn't gone there, it would not have occurred to me.
Exactly.
Deepak Guru, sir, how do you access personality of Trump that he rejected Republic Day invitation in 2019? Did he underestimate Modi ji?
I do not, the Republic Day invitation in 2019, there was a tough time going on at that time for him. Impeachment was big issue for him. And so I'm not going to know why he didn't take it, but impeachment was a big thing hanging on him. But he made up for it by making a 2-day exclusive trip to India. So give him credit for that. Let's accept what is happening instead of being angry about what he didn't do. Let's be happy about and support the step that he took of coming to India directly, ignoring Pakistan and every other country, made an exclusive trip to India for 2 days.
Right. Next one. Avinash Kumar. Additionally, Modi ji also keeps on improving the narrative of his party, adding Patel, Gandhi, and Ambedkar. He succeeded to mark the longer line than the earliest set by Indian National Congress. I think. Okay.
This is a good observation. This is a very good observation, because that's what I was alluding to in my opening part, that he knows the numbers. You grow only when you become inclusive. Alone, you can do only so much. But now he has got Patel, Gandhi, Ambedkar paying respect to people who are not there anymore. He's creating a dialogue about Ambedkar said things that we didn't know. We now know things Ambedkar has said. For example, Ambedkar being totally against a separate act for Kashmir, Ambedkar's views on Muslims, these were not even talked about at all. Now we know a lot more about these historical personalities than we ever knew before.
Right. Next one. वैभव विनायक दानेकर. सर, मेरा चैनल एक छोटा तुच्छ प्रयास है, आपके कृपया शाउट आउट दे दें. सर, यूएसए के बाद कम्युनिस्ट की नज़र इंडिया पे होगी. डेमोक्रेसी को नष्ट करने में लगे हैं. इंडिया कैसे बच सकता है इससे, बचा सकता है इसे? Thank you, Vaibhav. Vinayak ji, I do give a shout out for you. Please look up his channel and the rest of it, Vibhuti ji.
Well, I will put it this way, myself. I would like to say only one thing, is that the communists, leftists, they have one agenda, and they want to win that agenda because they are the opposition. That this agenda has not made any country prosperous is the message that we have to convey. Why is it that everybody wants to migrate to rich countries? Because those countries are practicing capitalist methods. Likewise, nobody migrates to Soviet Russia or China. They won't even let anybody come there, or to Islamic countries, because they are not economically prosperous. And that's what is important, to recognize that eventually you cannot be running the system on deficit financing. Performance matters. And if India becomes today a performance-based culture, whether you are in any field, you have to remember, established a performance, but nobody gave you a medal or a puraskar on election basis alone. That is a
Oh,
failing of the system.
okay, Vibhuti ji, the desk is telling me that the answers are still way too long.
Okay.
So that they're saying there are far too many questions. Okay, so we'll have to budget it out a little bit.
Definitely.
Ekalav is saying, sir, would it be fair to point out that Modi ji has the likes of Amit Shah ji and Yogi ji to play the aggressor card, which wasn't the case with Trump? I think very good
Very
observation.
good
And
question. I will Eklavya Singh. Good question. Absolutely true. And shortlist this, please.
yes. Okay, next one. Archit Pankaj. After 2019, I feel liberals have changed their strategy to deal with Modi. Now they are trying to fill discontent in each faction of the society and igniting protest everywhere. Well, they were doing that before 2019 also, and they were doing worse. They
Right.
even cooked up that Rafale thing, which
Right.
was probably a very bad attempt. They are doing, and will the protest strategy continue till 2024 until Modi is defeated? If you say until Modi is defeated, 2024, these are two different things.
Yeah. And I
Until
also
Modi is defeated, maybe is far out into the future. But
and they're
2000,
applying the Alinsky model of catch on the unhappiness of people. That's simple as that.
yes, yes.
And it will not
Uh,
work.
Arush, how would you compare democracies with Congress Party in terms of finances, volunteers, supporters, etc.? Compare Democrats with the Congress Party. No comparison at all.
Not now.
No, never was. It's not. There's no comparison for at least 15 years. Ever since the uh, young prince has taken over, 51-year young. Krishna Sundar, politicians around the world are following the old CIA line. He may be an SOB, but he's our SOB, as opposed to that he may be our SOB, but in the end he is an SOB. Your comment?
This is a very nice question, Krishna. I like that. I like that because as this has a familial content to that, because politics is a bizarre business, and that's why it is called politicians make strange bedfellows.
And that's where I think Trump also went a little overboard when he included everybody from his family into the
Right.
his staff positions.
We had no confidence outside. Yes.
Okay, so that was a short list worthy questions. Please shortlist that. Varun, your thoughts on why Hindus who live outside India don't show up in politics? One look at Canada, and Hindus there are meaningless politically speaking. Same in US, though financially rich. I think US there are lots of them.
US is now becoming politically active, but this question is very good in the sense that Indians who come to America, they came to study or looking for a job. So economic welfare was the bigger aspect of life than anything else. You did not have to be politically inclined. So we are Indians, Hindus are mostly least politically inclined compared to Mexicans, Latinos, Europeans, Muslims who have an agenda. Muslims will come ki hame halal chahiye, hum ye karenge. So, Christians will come with their own agenda. Latinos have their own agenda to establish Latin language. We were speaking English. Think about it. Many, many places, many languages, Hindi is not there because Indians speak English. So we are not politically connected, engaged. We are politically happy that, okay, we are making good money, we are happy here. But things have changed since 2014. I'll definitely tell you that.
May his defeat of Trump, the 2004 Vajpayee moment for Republicans, considering the recent rise of right wing in USA. I think he should have stuck to right wing agenda instead of talking about economy like India shining by BJP in 2004. But economy has always been Republican agenda.
Right. Republicans have always done the economic factor. They always say, come here, work hard, make money, live happily. It's the Democrats who have the agenda of unfettered immigration and promising things for free. So, that's the way it has always been. He focused on that. He got 10 million more votes this year, but the game was different this time.
Okay. Rohit Kunal, will Delhi people remember Delhi Riots, Shaheen Bagh, farmer protest, and many more to come till 2025? They have made Delhi drama a stage for Gunguru Seth. Well, all I have to say is that as far as I am concerned, Delhi will again be 7-0 in favor of BJP. So Gunguru Seth can remain and keep dancing around. Next one. सिद्धांत कोई चिंता न करे राहुल बाबा की चर्चा में बीजेपी पूर्णतया सुरक्षित है बिल्कुल आपसे सहमत हैं हम पूरी तरह से सी मोदी रिटायर एट 75 and pass the baton to maybe Yogi or Shah. Yes, that's a likely scenario.
That's a likely scenario. I feel so too. I think his growing beard is a sign of that.
Yes. Sadhu Baba. Satish Das, Indians in India and elsewhere are representing India greatly. I wish Sanjay ji could have retired 10 years back.
Satish, I definitely want to thank you for making that statement. It feels good. From not required India, not required Indians, NRIs, you are appreciating that part of it, and I'm glad that Sanjay ji should have retired 10 years ago, because I think as a journalist and a TV analyst, he is serving the country greatly, if not bigger and better.
Thank you for the kind words, Rohan Kumar. If Trump had won 2020 elections, if there was no fraud, would Trump have won if there was no fraud? Do you think US media most corrupt, who portrayed Trump like evil as president, whatever?
I think so. The fraud is not proven as yet, so let's not jump the gun here. There are indications of that only in 5 states. That is being investigated. Let's see what happens. Let's await the outcome before we done. But the media was against him. That is a known fact.
But it must be said that Trump never even tried to look like a good man.
Right. He didn't pretend. He didn't pretend at all. But one thing is there definitely, that the Hunter Biden scandal and his involvement, had media not suppressed it, many people have said who voted for Biden said we would not have voted for him.
Yes. Shobita Panam sir, Mr. Modi said in an interview that he will transform India such that even Americans will stand in queue for visa. From your perspective, how far are we from that day?
We are quite far as of now. But one thing is definitely true, is that he is transforming India in a remarkable way. I mean, look at the smart cities. I hope he converts those smart cities as alternate to the political capital. That's my humble hope. That will really distribute the population from going to Mumbai to other places as well. If he transforms these smart cities into alternate state capitals of business, that would be a phenomenal thing to happen. This particular thing, whether it is a political statement, Americans will come for visa. People want to come to India, but do we need them? That's the important part.
Okay. So next question. Question for both of you. Okay. Will the rise of AI MIM will be good for BJP to come in power easily 2024? Well, it has no bearing on that. It's a one constituency party. It will stay one constituency party.
My thought is that rise of AI MIM is kind of dangerous, because they are capturing Muslim votes in Bihar and other states. What started from nothing in Maharashtra, they have put their footprints all over. So, that is something that needs to be carefully watched. We can't take any opposition for granted.
Well, that's okay, but they rarely win a constituency the second time. Look at Maharashtra and look at Bihar as well. They didn't win the constituency they had won earlier in Bihar, won uh, others, and same thing in Maharashtra. The constituency they won earlier, they did not win this time.
Right.
They are what is called. They are, since you mentioned it, they are there for establishing Ashraf hegemony, and that gets found out. They do not go anywhere where there is already an Ashraf party, like the Indian Union Muslim League in Kerala. They'll never go there. Wherever there is an Ashraf party, they'll not go there. They go there only to establish that hegemony, so that the Ashraf hegemony is there, and the seculars do not get that vote. Their agenda is totally different. Those who think that they are out there to help BJP, they're totally wrong. The Jaipur dialogue, the Ajit Bantia. Thanks, Sanjay ji, Vibhuti ji, appreciate your work.
Thank
Thank you very much, Ajit ji. Tarosh, why aren't the Democrats taking up the Indian issues like farmer protests like UK Labour or Canada Liberals?
They have outsourced from the. It is the Democratic Party in Seattle, in Chicago, in Minneapolis, who are trying to pass resolutions for farmer protests. It has happened on Costco website. So, it's the Democratic Party is not directly doing it, but their agents are the ones who are doing it.
Okay. Next one. Balakrishnan Ramanujan. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your help. Sanjay Gupta, how can we deal with anti-India lobby, which constitutes mostly Indian origin leaders from Democratic Party, also many Khalistani groups from Canada?
Yeah. We are trying to engage the anti-Indian lobbies here. The government of India needs to get more proactive. The embassy and consulates must get active. If they give us support, then we can do a lot more. Because as a private citizen, we have only limited authority to do something. But these are organized attack. One thing which I would like to talk about is the Khalistanis come here on asylum visa. How valid is that? In 2020, may have some validity in 1984, perhaps, not in 2020. So anybody who is applying here, we should look at it seriously.
Okay, next. Samarth you. The interference in the election is a big social media, very high. Why should India do to have low impact by this? And is India in a stage to take these actions for 2024? Example, suppression of news, etc.
I wouldn't say suppression of news is to be encouraged. Actually, we want more news to flow. So, is my understanding correct here?
Yeah. So shall we move to the next one? Satish Sanjay relating to today's context, is the skin of Congressi and leftist are more mota than rest of Indians. I want Krishna Gopeshwar if I am chosen. One, because I have already bought you. That's called optimism.
That's a very clever question, and for that reason, I'll include him in the.
No, he's already there in that shortlist.
We'll keep him.
One of his earlier questions already shortlisted.
Right.
Yes, not only their chamdi is mota, their dimag is also mota.
दिमाग मोटा नहीं हो भ्रष्ट हो गया है. That's more important.
Manmohan Singh. In fact, we did that, that Vampant haar kar bhi sashakt kyun hai. That's what he needs to watch.
Right.
That episode we did. Next one. Manmohan Singh. No denying that 5 Democrat-run states cheated Mr. Trump out of government. Inconsistent data is proving that. What can BJP do to prevent it in India? In India, that cannot happen. No? We have an election commission of India. So that situation is not available to all these people here. The
Yeah.
states can't do anything.
Mm.
Next. Wisdom with Rahul. Oh, wow. What an idea. Impression of BJP is underrated as compared with impression of Modi. What do you think? You put such a wonderful name up front that, everybody starts thinking of you as, what should we say? Not the real Rahul. Because the real Rahul cannot be wisdom.
This question I'll defer to you, Sanjay ji. Impression of BJP is underrated as compared with impression of Modi. What do you think?
Modi is bigger than BJP right now. That's the simple answer. Pathik Pandya, recently US gave highest award to Modi ji, Shinzo Abe, and S. Morrison. Is it strategic considering Quad Alliance? I think
Yes,
you referred to it.
yes, it is. We said that. I said this earlier on, and this is also to solidify any backtracking by Biden at China's push. So now there is $1.42 billion have been allocated for that purpose as well.
Okay. Ganesh Motukari. Biden is like MS, so there's another SG called Kamala Harris. Uh, she's not SG. That's a bit far fetched. As winning of Democrats shows socialists have reached USA would affect policy to India. I think we did that, no?
We have done a whole
That,
program on it, but suffice to say that it will not, because India is too big, too important, and if we play our cards well, they can't ignore India at all. Yes, but socialism has arrived, but there is an internal tussle in Democratic Party. So one of the champions of the socialist movement, a young lady, AOC, she was outvoted. She wanted to be on the climate change committee, environment change committee, and her party voted her out 43 to 19. So she is not on her thing. So party is also reconsidering its stand. So much so that Obama had to say that in Georgia election, don't talk about defunding the police, because that may lose us some votes. We will hold it up until the election is over. So these are all on record now. So, yes.
okay. Shankar is over. Okay. Which is the question? Shankar, how does it matter who wins in elections when extremist Trojan horses are everywhere and they can easily influence policy decisions? Okay, that's an extreme pessimistic view. You're welcome to keep it. Next. Varinder Singh, how do we get Punjabis to accept and appreciate Modi? I am Punjabi who admires Modi, but I feel I'm a loner in this matter. Happy to find your channel. Well, I don't think they exactly dislike Modi. It's just that they like other things more.
And that's a concern you expressed, Gorinderji. The important part here is that I ask this question of every Sikh in America, who are my friends and otherwise. I always say that how in heavens do you support Congress Party, knowing full well that it was that party that massacred or killed as many Sikhs in 1984? How do you even go to Congress Party for any help? I ask Sikhs, do you support Khalistan movement for all the gurus that were brutalized by Muslims in those days? So begin asking these questions. The sacrifices cannot be abused. And I would bring Varinder's concern as a good concern.
Okay. You didn't mention what kind of responses you get.
Oh, they some people, they are apologetic. I will tell you that. They are apologetic about it. They say, यार क्यों embarrass करते हो ये सब सवाल पूछ के? Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Next. भारत वेद प्रकाश क्या है भाजपा आरएसएस भी सेक्युलरिज्म से ग्रसित है क्या भाजपा वैश्विकी कांग्रेस है भाजपा भी तुष्टीकरण की राजनीति कर रही है
संजय जी आप इस पे जवाब दें
भाई ऐसा है जब तक आप कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन से सेक्युलरिज्म हटा नहीं देते तब तक सेक्युलरिज्म का गाना तो गाना ही पड़ेगा एक पॉलिटिकल पार्टी को जो पावर में आप पहले ये समझिए, ये थोड़ा गेम कैसे होता है, पॉलिटिक्स कैसे खेली जाती है, सत्ता कैसे चलाई जाती है, वो जो आपके पॉलिटिकल भाषण होते हैं उनसे थोड़ा सा अलग होता है। तो ये आप थोड़ा सा ध्यान में रखेंगे तो आपको अपने प्रश्न का उत्तर स्वयं मिल जाएगा। सुनीत राजन, नमस्ते संजय जी, विभूति जी, ट्विटर का आभारी हूँ, उसने जयपुर डायलॉग का पेज ब्लॉक करके लोगों को आपके बारे में अवगत कराया। जयपुर डायलॉग का पेज ब्लॉक हो गया क्या आपके यहाँ? ये ध्यान नहीं भाई, जयपुर डायलॉग का पेज ब्लॉक हो गया क्या? हमें तो नहीं ऐसा कुछ बताया गया कि जयपुर डायलॉग का पेज ब्लॉक हुआ है। तो इसको थोड़ा क्लैरिफाई करें। अगला चले। Should Trump pardon Assange and Snowden?
Julian Assange and Snowden. Yeah, I think, many criminals have been pardoned in the past. And what Julian Assange and Snowden have done is to actually expose the role of secrecy that goes into manipulating the lives of people. And that was, how you control the minds. I think they deserve a pardon, in my opinion.
I think he issued some 15 pardons.
He issued that, but they relate to some other cases. These two were not in it, but there is a request starting from Tulsi Gabbard herself. She said, "Pardon them." Yeah.
Okay, Deepankar Pathak. Living abroad, when I talk to Westerners, I see a very narrow way of comparing Indian politics with that of others. Are we failing to address this issue?
Yes, it is our hesitancy. I agree with you that, we, as of now, even in America, we are not a mainstream news item. People don't discuss. And we need to become assertive about that. I agree with you, Deepankar.
Right. Next one. नीरज कुमार, सबसे बड़े जो हिंदू विरोधी हैं वो हमारी लड़कियां हैं जो ब्यूरोक्रेसी में हैं. I noticed a lot, and that affects a lot on today's generation. Why is that? भाई नीरज जी, जो मेरा एम्पेरिकल ऑब्जर्वेशन है वो तो ऐसा नहीं है, क्योंकि मैंने 35 साल गुजारे हैं ब्यूरोक्रेसी में. तो लड़कियां बाकियों से ज़्यादा हैं ऐसा तो भाई मेरा इम्प्रेशन तो नहीं है. इसलिए मैं आपसे, सबसे पहली बात तो मैं आपसे सहमत नहीं हूँ इस बारे में. तो जब बेसिक डिफरेंस ऑफ ओपिनियन हो गया तो फिर आगे तो फिर उसका कोई अर्थ नहीं है बात आगे बढ़ाने का. आगे चलते हैं. वरुण सर, मुझे लगता है मोदी जी 2024 का चुनाव 5 अगस्त 2019 को ही जीत जाएंगे. जीत गए थे, आपके विचार?
We have also made the same declaration.
अभी तो बहुत काम बाकी है जी. अभी देखिए आप.
Right.
आगे. Krishna Sundar, BJP wins elections but loses culture. What's the point in winning the election if culture is going left? It's like we win quickly but lose slowly. It's a legitimate concern, but then it's not for BJP alone. BJP has given us the space, and it is also for us to make our own efforts. It is for us also to endeavor. Krishna Sundar, US Congress passed a 5593-page stimulus package that is $25 million, 200 million, 130 million to Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Nepal for gender and democracy development programs. Isn't this ridiculous? What I find ridiculous is this great affront to Pakistan. They are way below Bangladesh and Nepal.
That's yes, it is. It is ridiculous, and there is a major uproar in the American public that you are giving the individuals a $600 relief. Who are you enriching here? Was there any necessity to give this foreign aid of this kind at the time when America itself needs help? Our businesses are closed, and you are giving for gender and democracy development in those countries who don't need that money right now. It is going to go in somebody's pocket.
Okay, so that's what it is. Okay, thank you all viewers. We come to the end of this at exactly the 1 hour 30 minutes point, which is quite an achievement. And we dive right into the shortlisted questions.
Right.
And we place them before our honorable guest, Vibhuti Ji.
I have to perform the unpleasant job of picking the winner while leaving
Yes,
others unhappy.
yes.
Hey, what the hell? The winner is winner.
Okay, Satish Das ji, he's already second guessed his victory. Yeah, this is Eklavya Singh, Krishna Sundar.
Any
Okay,
more?
these are the three.
These are the three. So I will give it to Krishna Sundar. That is, this SOB question is a very interesting one. Congratulations, Krishna Sundar. I like that.
Okay. So, congratulations, Krishna Sundarji. Wonderful question that you asked, and you know the protocol that you have to just write to send an email to Jaipur Dialogues giving your credentials and the book. If you have a preference, also you can tell. And yes, that's that. Thank you once again. Reminding you once again to like, subscribe, share, press the bell icon, continue with your support. And विभूति जी आपको बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद.
You are welcome. आपको भी बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. आपके विचारों से मिलकर और इतने दर्शकों के साथ नया संबंध जो बना है, I feel very good about it.
Thank you. Good night from here.
Good night.
Press the bell icon on YouTube and don't miss another update.